Good afternoon and welcome to Spectrum Television News Within the Week, a recap of some of the major stories. I am Uyai and Niekan coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at some of the headlines. President Tinubu to flag off Kogi Guba APC campaign rally on Sunday. Federal government to fund 53 road projects with 150 billion naira Sukuk bond. Plus, President Zelensky tells EU foreign ministers that victory depends on cooperation. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. First in the news within the week is that President Bola Tinubu will on Sunday, October the 8th, flag off the campaign rally of the All Progressives Congress APC for the November 11 governorship election in Kogi State. This was announced in a statement issued by the Director of Media and Publicity Kogi APC Governorship Campaign Council, Kingsley Fowle. According to the statement, the Kogi State APC Governorship Campaign Council has put modalities in place to ensure a hitch-free flag-off rally. Meanwhile, the presidency during the week insisted that the certificate President Bola Tinubu presented to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) was not forged. Tinubu's senior special assistant on media and publicity, Temitope Ajayi, said the Chicago State University (CSU) confirmed that the president did not submit a fake result to INEC. Ajayi noted that CSU affirmed under oath that Tinubu attended and graduated from the institution and that the school does not handle replacements for lost certificates. He said there was no truth in the forgery claim, adding that no person can forge a certificate he already has. In a related development, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in the course of the week, said Nigeria's reputation is at stake with the controversy surrounding the Chicago State University's certificate submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) by President Bola Tinubu. This is as he also urged the relevant stakeholders to uphold the tenets of democracy by establishing the truth about the certificate submitted to the electoral empire by the president. Atiku, however, urged the 2023 presidential candidates of Labour Party and the New Nigeria People's Party, Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso, respectively, to join him in fighting for justice for the country. The former vice president also vowed to pursue his petition before the Supreme Court to a logical conclusion.
Today, we are called upon to again, as a people, to uphold and defend the ground rules of elective government in our country. The Constitution prescribes the requirements for those who seek the highest elective office in the land. It should not take months or indeed decades for the institutions concerned to be able to do their work in establishing the credibility of any certificates presented by candidates for public office.
Away from that, the federal government within the week said it would use the net proceeds of its ongoing 150 billion naira Sukuk issuance to fund some 53 road projects across the country. The Director General Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, disclosed this at an investors forum in Abuja, saying the 53 roads cover more than 3,000 kilometers. Oniha further said the tolls collected from the roads will be used to repay the Sukuk, as the federal government remains committed to value-driven borrowing. Report says Sukuk is a non-interest asset-backed bond that is based on the principles of Islamic finance. Meanwhile, the federal government yesterday announced a special grant of 25,000 naira each under its conditional cash transfer (CCT) scheme to vulnerable pensioners in the country. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Aidu, announced this when she met with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), led by its President Joe Ajaero in Abuja. The minister disclosed that President Bola Tinubu mentioned very clearly that vulnerable pensioners should be immediately captured on the National Social Register and benefit from the CCT as part of social safety net. Thus, he committed 25,000 naira for 15 million households for 3 months. Edri informed the leadership of the Labour Union that the desire to expand the National Social Register to include vulnerable pensioners in the CCT scheme was encapsulated in the renewed hope agenda and appealed to the NLC to help fast-track the process of collating data. In the meantime, the Minister for Steel Development, Shuaib Abubakar Aldu, yesterday revealed that the Ajakuta town and its environment will soon be designated as a free trade zone. Aldu said a proposal had been sent to the President, Bola Tinubu, for consideration and approval within the shortest possible time. Abubakar Aldu disclosed this while speaking today during his maiden visit to the Ajakuta Steel Company Limited as he took a tour of the complex company with some investors from America, Germany, Russia and China. The minister said the aim of this visit is to show would-be investors around the vast potential of our steel resources and the prospects it is capable of providing. Meanwhile, the minister said that if gotten right, Ajakuta Steel Company would create over 500,000 jobs, which would be enough to lift Nigerians out of poverty, as investors would carry out an advanced technical audit of the steel complex and its facilities to see what more is to be done. We move down to the Red Chambers, where the Senate within the week confirmed 3 ministerial nominees: Jamila Ibrahim, Kwara State; Balarabe Lawal, Kaduna State; and Ayodele Olawande, Ondo State, in addition to the 45 approved by the Red Chamber in August. This comes a day after President Bola Tinubu wrote to the Senate seeking its confirmation of the nominees. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio, at the commencement of the exercise, put the nominations to a voice vote. The senators voted in favor of the nominees' confirmation. Earlier, in a dramatic turn of events, Lawal collapsed after concluding his introduction, causing several people present to rush to his aid. Though the Kaduna native was unable to take questions due to the incident, his nomination was also confirmed, who was, however, revived moments later. Meanwhile, the Senate yesterday pledged that it would give the expected new minimum wage bill from the executive arm of government expeditious consideration for improved welfare of workers and industrial harmony in the country. This was disclosed in a statement issued by the chairman of the Senate's Committee on Employment, Labor and Productivity, Senator Dicket Plang of APC Plateau Central. Plang in the statement assured Nigerians that the 10th Senate and by extension 10th National Assembly is committed to improving the living conditions of workers in the country. The lawmaker commended the federal government on the proactive actions taken to avert nationwide strike by workers last week Tuesday, but warned parties involved not to renege on agreements reached. In the meantime, the Senate during the week urged the Federal Ministry of Works to immediately begin the reconstruction of the collapsed bridge at the Enugu end of Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway. The Senate's directive was sequel to the adoption of a motion at plenary. The motion, treated under urgent matter of public importance, was sponsored by Senator Osita Ngu, PDP Enugu, and co-sponsored by Senator Victor Ume, Labour Party Anambra, Senator Kelvin Chukwu, LP Enugu, and Senator Okechukwu Ezie, LP Enugu. Ngu, who is in his lead debate, recalled the September 25 tragic collapse of part of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway flyover, however, noted that there was no human casualty. According to him, the bridge, which serves as a major link between the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway for commuters from Port Harcourt, Aba, Umuahia and Aba Kiliki, also provides access to vehicular movement from Onitsha Enugu Expressway. He expressed his displeasure over the current road infrastructure maintenance model. The senator said early signs of the collapse would have been detected for immediate repairs before the eventual tragic incident. He said that the temporary diversion of vehicular movement into the city center would only worsen the already precarious traffic situation within the city metropolis. From the Green Chambers, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, in the course of the week lamented the resurgence of abduction of students in tertiary institutions by bandits in the northwest region of Nigeria. The Speaker raised the concern following confirmation by the Katsina State Police Command of the abduction of 5 students of the Federal University Dutsima in the state. Recall that on the 22nd of September 2023, armed bandits invaded 3 female hostels at the Sabongida area of Zamfara State and abducted an unspecified number of female students at the Federal University Gusau, FUG. Reacting to the abductions, Abbas, in a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Musa Krishi, called on security agencies to rescue the abducted students and prevent any recurrence, noting that the students' abduction posed serious threats to education in the north. The Speaker, who expressed concern at the disturbing nature of the ugly trend, charged the military and relevant security agencies to, as a matter of urgency, rejig their architecture and approaches to ensure security of all Nigerians. In a related development, the House of Representatives also asked the Chief of Army Staff COAS, Lieutenant General Tao Reed Lagbaja, and the Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Egbetokun to deploy more security personnel to intensify security architecture and tackle security challenges in Dadume, local government area of Katsina State. The House also urged the Chief of Army Staff to establish an operational unit for rapid response in the area to address the worsening insecurity in Dadume local government area and its environs in Funtua. The resolutions follow the adoption of a motion by Abubakar Ahmed Mohammed, APC Katsina. Mohammed in his motion said insecurity in Dadume local government area and its environs has assumed a worrisome dimension in recent times. He said the area has become a haven for bandits, armed robbers, kidnappers, cattle rustlers and all other types of criminal elements in recent times. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives yesterday resolved to oversee the issuance of promissory notes for the judgment debt totaling about $556 million, £398 million and 226 billion naira incurred by the federal government. The lawmakers at a plenary session highlighted the need for the payment of critical judgment debt owed by the federal government's ministries, departments and agencies with promissory notes. The resolution was a sequel to the adoption of a motion by the lawmaker representing Surulere Federal Constituency, Lagos State, Lanre Okunlola. Justifying his call, Okunlola urged his colleagues not to lose sight of the judgment debt profile incurred by the MDAs, adding that addressing the debt would go a long way in ensuring the financial stability of the federal government. In the meantime, the House of Representatives within the week asked the federal government through the Ministry of Health and the National Orientation Agency NOA to establish counseling centers across the country where people with mental health issues can receive counseling. The House also asked the Federal Ministry of Health to collaborate with relevant health institutions to ensure that research on mental health is put into practice to ensure evidence-based care to Nigerian citizens. in a resolution following a motion on the need to prioritize and implement the provisions of the Mental Health Act 2021 to tackle suicide and suicidality in Nigeria. The House mandated its Committee on Healthcare Services to evaluate the implementation of the content of the Mental Health Act and conduct a needs assessment of the full implementation of the Act. Leading a debate on the motion, its sponsor, Uchenna Nwachukwu, said the responsibility of the government is to protect and safeguard the lives of Nigerians as outlined by Section 14, subsection 2b of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, which provides that the security, safety and welfare of the people of Nigeria shall be the primary purpose of the government. Still from the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives during the week also mandated the Federal Ministry of Works and the House Committee on Appropriation to include the completion of Onitsha Atani Osomala Agwakwele Ndoni Road project in Oparu local government area of Anambra State in the 2024 budget estimate. The directive was given during plenary at the floor of the House in Abuja following a motion by Afam Ogene. The House also mandated the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency FEMA to provide palliative measures of the road in the interim to ease transportation. According to Ogene, the badly flawed ravaged Obaru Road is also the shortest route to get into River State from Anambra. In a separate development, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, in the course of the week, inaugurated 23 new judges at the Federal High Court at the Supreme Court in Abuja. Justice Ariwoola, while inaugurating the new judges, charged them to always apply constitutional provisions in deciding each case assigned to them. He noted that despite attacks on the judiciary, public opinions, no matter how serious or weighty they might be, cannot supersede the provisions of the country's constitutions. The Chief Judge stressed that the appointment of the judges is not to amass wealth, warning that any form of wrongdoing would not be condoned. Moving further on judicial matters, the Supreme Court within the week fixed December the 15th for judgment in the appeals filed by the federal government and detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB Nnamdi Kanu. Reports say the court chose the date after lawyer to the federal government Tijani Ghazali and counsel to Kanu Mike Ozehome made final submissions. According to reports, the federal government wants the court to set aside an earlier judgment by the Court of Appeal, which quashed the treasonable felony charge against Kanu and ordered his release on the grounds that he was unlawfully brought back to the country after he jumped bail. Meanwhile, Kanu, on his part, wants the court to allow the judgment of the court off and set aside the later order by the state the execution of the judgment. Back here on the home front, Akwa Ibom State Governor Moino during the week warned newly appointed personal assistants to live within their ward areas or risk being sacked. The governor gave the warning in Uyo, the state capital, while inaugurating the 368 PAs in the state. Eno stated that he would not hesitate to sack any of them found not living in his ward, while urging them to follow his footsteps and serve the people. Still to come in the news. UK, US partner with Nigeria on marine and blue economy. Stay tuned for details of this and more after this time out.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
Lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories. We move to Africa, where South Sudan, I beg your pardon, President Salva Kiir within the week sacked Central Bank Governor Johnny Damian and other senior finance officials, the second time he has removed a central bank chief in just a year. The president also appointing James Garang, an advisor to the International Monetary Fund, to replace Damian. He also replaced the central bank's two deputy governors, the head of the government's revenue authority, and other senior officials in the finance and trade ministries. Reports say Damian took up the position in August of 2022 after Moses Marco Deng was removed from the role. Meanwhile, Kenya's government during the week banned public officials from taking non-essential trips abroad as part of efforts to cut spending. Kenya's head of public service, Felix Koskei, said the ban covered travel for benchmarking, study, training, research and conferences. Koskei also said government officials have been directed to participate in such events virtually or ask diplomatic officials in the host countries to attend. According to reports, government officials spent 14 billion Kenyan shillings, which is the equivalent of $94 million on travel within the first 9 months of President William Ruto's administration. Elsewhere, Egyptian President Abdel El-Sisi in the course of the week confirmed that he will run for a new term in elections scheduled for December. The president announced his candidacy at the end of a three-day national conference called The Story of Homeland. Attended by the country's leading politicians, El-Sisi said he has decided to nominate himself to complete the dream of a new presidential term. Reports say Egypt will hold a presidential election every 3 days on December 10th through the 12th, with a runoff on January 8th through the 10th if no candidate secures more than 50% of the vote. In the meantime, the United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, within the week said safety fears in Burkina Faso means 1 in 4 schools are closed and more than 1 million children have no basis for education. UNICEF said it is working with the government to support children in areas that are worst affected by Burkina Faso's security crisis, including the Nord, Center Nord, Bokul du Monkoun, Center S and Sahel region. The agency noted that only 13% of the funds it needs have been allocated and it needs a further $227 million. Still in Africa, the United Nations UN during the week said it is concerned about violence linked to Liberia's upcoming elections. The United Nations Human Rights Office, OHCHR, said at least 2 people in the West African country died and 20 were injured during clashes between supporters of the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change Party and the opposition Unity Party. It said the casualties occurred in the Foya district, while there have also been outbreaks of violence in the Dimba, Montsebrado and Grand Cape Mount counties ahead of next week's general elections. The spokesperson of the UN Human Rights Office, Chef Mangago, noted that the United Nations office has also documented 8 attacks on journalists by various political actors, 2 of which resulted in injuries. On the foreign scene, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, in the course of the week, met with European Union foreign ministers visiting Kyiv, saying he is confident that Ukraine and the entire free world are capable of winning the confrontation with Russia. Zelensky noted that the country's victory directly depends on Ukrainians' cooperation, stressing that the more strong and principled steps the country takes toward together, the sooner the war will end. He described the minister's presence in Kyiv as a step towards strengthening Europe, adding that Ukraine needs to constantly take new defense and diplomatic, political and integration, economic and sanction steps that will make her common position stronger. The president said that besides further military aid and joint production of weapons, Ukraine's path to NATO membership and a fresh package of sanctions against Russia were among the important steps to be taken, as well as the beginning of negotiations this year on Ukraine's membership in the EU. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom and NATO within the week warned that Western military powers are running out of ammunition to give Ukraine to defend itself against Russia's full-scale invasion. The NATO's most senior military official, Rob Boer, told the Warsaw Security Forum that the bottom of the barrel is now visible. He said governments and defense manufacturers now had to ramp up production in a much higher rate. Also, UK Defence Minister James Heppey urged NATO allies to spend 2% of their national wealth on defence, as they had committed to do. In the meantime, Russia, in the course of the week, have been warned not to count on wariness in Europe over support for Ukraine as European Union EU foreign ministers meet in Kyiv. Reports say it is the first time the assembly has been held outside the bloc. The meeting comes a day after further military funding for Ukraine was left out of a last-minute U.S. budget deal. Meanwhile, the EU policy chief Joseph Borrell described the ongoing war in Ukraine as an existential crisis. Borrell said the EU has announced more than 70 billion euro of military and civilian assistance for Ukraine, which is set to arrive over the next few years. Still on Russia-Ukraine war, European Union lawmakers within the week approved a 4-year budget that would provide up to $52.3 billion for Ukraine in order to tackle the crisis caused by Russia's war. The European Parliament, in a statement, noted that the budget revision was introduced to adapt to the ongoing war against Ukraine and growing migration issues. The statement added that the facility for Ukraine will provide up to $52 billion in direct budgetary support for Ukraine over the period 2024 to 2027 to support reforms, create a favorable investment climate and conditions for attracting private investors to Ukraine's recovery, disclosing that the funding would be separate to the financing of military assistance. Elsewhere, the United Kingdom Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt has confirmed that the UK minimum wage will go up next year. The Chancellor of the Exchequer also announced proposals for a crackdown on people claiming out-of-work benefits payments while failing to look for work. The rise from April next year comes amid the worst cost of living crisis in a generation, with the government battling stubbornly high inflation and industrial unrest across the economy. Reports say the best for the UK's lowest earners will see wages rise to at least £11 an hour, an annual increase for a full-time worker over £1,000. Still on the foreign scene, Pakistan during the week ordered all unauthorized Afghan asylum seekers, an estimated 1.7 million people, to leave the country by November. Reports say a spike in attacks along the two countries' border, which Islamabad blames on Afghanistan-based operatives, has escalated tensions this year. It has also fueled resentment in Islamabad, which reportedly announced a crackdown on illegal migrants. According to reports, Afghanistan's rulers have repeatedly denied providing refuge for militants who target Pakistan. Meanwhile, the Taliban government has urged Pakistan to rethink its unacceptable move. On our business news, the British and the United States government within the week expressed readiness to partner the federal government to develop the newly created Marine and Blue Economy Ministry. The representatives of the countries stated this in Abuja during the separate meetings with the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola. The U.S. delegation was led by the Senior Coordinator for Atlantic Cooperation, Ambassador J.C. Lampane, while that of the British was led by the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Dr. Richard Montgomery. Meanwhile, the minister stated that both governments said the partnership would boost Nigeria's growth. Meanwhile, the federal government during the week said it is set to equip 3 million Nigerians with tech skills over the next 4 years. It set a plan to help startups raise their yearly funding rounds to $5 billion by 2027 and improved access in rural areas by at least 40%. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Busan Tijani, disclosed this while outlining his plan for the ministry in a document titled Accelerating Our Collective Prosperity Through the Technical Efficiency. The minister highlighted that in today's global technology landscape, innovation, entrepreneurship and access to capital were critical components of a strong digital economy. In the meantime, the federal government in the course of the week launched a 150 billion Naira Sukuk issuance to raise funds for the construction and rehabilitation of roads and bridges across the country. The Debt Management Office DMO opened application list for subscription to the 150 billion naira Ijara Sukuk, stating that the Sukuk is issued by Federal Government of Nigeria Road Sukuk Company PLC on behalf of the federal government. It added that the Ijara Sukuk was classified as liquid asset by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) and certified by the Financial Regulation Advisory Council of Experts of the CBN. Meanwhile, Sukuk is a non-interest asset-backed instrument based on the principles of Islamic finance. Still in business, the Nigerian Exchange Limited, NGX, will see its market capitalization depreciate by 8.69 billion naira as Capital Hotel PLC announced its delisting from the bourse. Recall that the company announced its voluntary delisting from the exchange as recommended by the board of directors. The company in a statement said the exchange approved the delisting application subject to Capital Hotel's evidence of opening an escrow account in the registrar's name and evidence that shareholders who have accepted to exit have been paid. The company added that the delisting provides the opportunity to strategize for better performance, minimize cost, and stay competitive within its industry. Still to come in the news. Paul Pogba's second sample test positive in counter analysis. Do stay tuned for details of these and more after this time out.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
Lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned to conclude the news within the week. In health, the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Ghebreyesus Tedros, within the week said the world has fallen short of its target to end the global tuberculosis epidemic by 2030, saying that all hands should be on deck to achieve the ambitious target. Tedros, in a recorded meeting of WHO's General Assembly, said that at the first high-level meeting on TB held half a decade ago, the world set these ambitious targets, noting that while millions of lives have been saved, the targets are yet to be achieved. The Director General revealed that the only licensed TB vaccine was developed over a century ago and saves thousands of lives every year by protecting young children. However, the vaccine does not adequately protect adolescents and adults. Meanwhile, he charged all hands to be on deck and noted that more work needs to be done. In the meantime, the World Health Organization during the week recommended a new vaccine, R21 Matrix M, for the prevention of malaria in children. The recommendation follows advice from the WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization and the Malaria Policy Advisory Group and was endorsed by the WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, following its regular biannual meeting held on September the 25th through 29th. The global health body disclosed this in a press statement. The R21 Matrix M malaria vaccine, developed by the University of Oxford and manufactured and scaled up by the Serum Institute of India, is only the second vaccine the world has seen for a disease that has caused untold suffering for a millennia. WHO also issued recommendations on the advice of SAGE for new vaccines for dengue and meningitis, along with immunization schedules and product recommendations for COVID-19. Still in health, geriatricians and other experts in respiratory medicine in the course of the week advised Nigerians over 65 years old, especially those with weakened immune systems, to get vaccinated as a preventive measure against pneumonia. Speaking in interviews, they said many diseases can weaken the immune system, making it less able to fight off streptococcus pneumonia, the bacterium that causes pneumonia, hence the need for vaccination. According to a consultant family physician and geriatrician at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Oduni Oludasi, pneumonia vaccines are not only for children under 5, but for adults of all ages. He said the vaccine is available for adults and that they should get vaccinated, noting that one shot can last them for 5 years, especially those with lung disease such as asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, tuberculosis, among others. Moving now to sports, within the week, Paul Pogba tested positive for testosterone in counter-analysis on his second sample. The former Manchester United midfielder was provisionally suspended on September 11 this year due to an anti-doping offense. The France international tested positive for testosterone, a hormone that increases athletes' endurance. Reports say after the results of a counter-analysis came back as positive, Pogba risked a suspension of up to 4 years. Meanwhile, Manchester City are reportedly ready to make a shock move for Britain's Kaoru Mitoma. Reports say Pep Guardiola wants to bring in the Japanese winger in the January transfer window to bolster their attacking options. Mitoma enjoyed an impressive 2022-2023 season, scoring 10 and assisting 8 in 41 appearances for the Seagulls. According to reports, Manchester United are also interested in Mitoma, but the Premier League champions will undoubtedly be the favourites to land his signature. Still in sports, British three-time Olympic champion Adam Peaty came sixth as Queen Hanyang won the 100 meters breaststroke final at the World Cup event in Berlin. Peaty, 28, had last competed in March and was fifth fastest in the heat as he made his competitive return. China's Queen won the final in dominant fashion with a World Cup record of 57.69 seconds. Peaty, who won Olympic gold in the 100 meters breaststroke in 2016 and 2021, finished in 59.85. The race is the first time Peaty had competed against Queen since the Chinese swimmer completed a historic breaststroke golden treble, winning 50 million 100 meters, 50 meters and 200 meters events at the World Championships this summer. On our entertainment news, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police Idowu Onwuha gave an update into the ongoing investigation of late singer Irewola Oloba, popularly known as Mohbad. Onwuha disclosed that the police had identified a total of 26 witnesses, noting that 5 suspects have been interrogated. Elsewhere, the mother of Nigerian megastar Burna Boy Bose Agulu has said that the singer is yet to fulfill his potential. Ogulu, who also manages the Afrobeat singer, said she admires his diligence and hard work, but he is still a work in progress. She noting that there are many more milestones to attain. Recall that the Nigerian megastar made history as the first African musician to headline a sold-out stadium show in the US as well as the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, his latest album, I Told Them, shot into the top 10 in charts across the world. Still on entertainment, Canadian singer Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concert film yesterday became a box office blockbuster a week before hitting cinemas. The distributor AMC said that global advance ticket sales have topped $100 million, about 82 million euros, noting that demand has been incredible from the moment it was first announced. The firm further said it took less than 24 hours for the movie to beat its record for the highest one-day sales, which makes it the most profitable concert film in history, overtaking Justin Bieber's Never Say Never. Meanwhile, the Canadian singer's movie, which mixed documentary footage with live performance, made $99 million in 2011, and her tour is scheduled to continue late 2024. And that's all we have for you at this time on the news within the week. Do well to follow us across all social media platforms, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. Thank you for being a part of a recap of major stories within the week. Until we return your words again, my name is Uyai, and you can do enjoy the rest of your weekend. God bless you.